Hey guys, how's it going? Kyle here with Dark Iron Diesel, and today I'm going to be showing you how I replaced the turbo in a 6.7 Cummins. Truck behind me is the 2015 Ram 3500, but this procedure is going to be pretty well the same on any 6.7 Cummins. This truck has some pretty typical turbo issues, which is common on these trucks. We'll go over those really quick, but if you find the video useful, please like, please subscribe, it helps the channel out a lot. If you got questions, ask in the comments, or you can shoot me a message on Instagram at Dark Iron Diesel. But anyways guys, let's get at her. Alright, so this truck has a few codes: P0046, turbocharger boost control circuit performance. We got P00AF, turbocharger boost control module performance, and P0038, which is a really common one, turbocharger boost control module position exceeded learning limit. So the reason these fail is because these trucks have VGT turbos, variable geometry turbocharger. So basically they have moving parts inside the turbo, and they kind of just, you know, wear out over time, or they get seized up with soot and whatnot. I'll put a link in the description to a video that I did where I actually took apart one of these turbos just so you can see the insides of it. But yeah, sometimes you can get away with taking it apart and cleaning the turbo. Sometimes it's just the actual actuator that moves the vanes. You can change that. But if you just want to get it fixed, you know it's going to work, then you just replace the turbo, which is what we're doing in this truck. We're just going to replace the turbocharger, get it over with, and I know it's going to be good. He's got a new turbo that have warranty on it, and away he goes. So this truck already had a DPF delete done on it previously. So this guy just said, get rid of the EGR while I'm at it anyways, because I had to take it off to do this turbo anyways. So I did install an EGR delete kit because this is an off-road truck. But anyways, this is where we're going to pick up from the video. So if you are interested in removing your EGR, whether it's for a delete or whether it's just to free up some space to do work on your truck, I'll put a link in the description for a different video I have on an EGR delete. But yeah, I'll show you where we're at here. This is kind of the meat and potatoes of what we're going to do with this turbo swap. So this is what I wanted to show you guys. All right, so disconnect your batteries, just the negative post on both. That's something you got to do. Remove this air intake. See, the EGR is all off of this side, so it's really easy to work on. You can see the turbo right down there. So yeah, that's where we're at here. We have drained the coolant. To get at the coolant, I usually just unbolt this power steering reservoir, and down there you can kind of see my ratchet. I believe it's a 10mm Allen key socket. When you're loosening that drain plug, it's about a half a turn, and as you twist it, it kind of just comes out like that. So if you feel it kind of stop moving, don't power through it, because you'll just snap that plug. I've done that before, that's how I know. So they just bottom out. They only move about a half a turn forward and backwards. But yeah. All right, so to free up a little more space, there's these two coolant lines. I'm gonna unbolt this one. Just make sure you don't lose those two little washer seals there. I'm gonna tuck it over there. I'm gonna take this coolant line off as well, and that will free it up, and we will be able to see that turbo nicely. All right, to make a little more room too, just unscrew, I believe this is your exhaust back pressure sensor, but yeah, just unscrew that and let's get it out of the way. And then we're pretty nice and open to pull this turbo up and out of the truck. All right, now you have a coolant line here and an oil line there. I would start by taking this coolant line off, and see it goes right here. Just take the whole line off after you have the coolant line off. Take the oil line off there, and just get both those lines right out of the truck. It'll be give you way more room in there. All right, so there's a couple of clips down here. You can kind of just pop them in and unclip the wires from them. But anyways, right up here on the turbo actuator, there's a plug. We're gonna pop that little gray tab back and unplug it from the actuator, and leave this this electrical on the truck. And then you see this big one that comes from the little elbow at the back of the turbo there. It's usually a super big pain in the ass to take it off, so I'm just gonna leave it on there, I think, and go over here. And if you see down there, there's a yellow tab. You have to pull that yellow tab out, and it'll unplug from it, and then you have to unbolt this little module from the truck, which can also be a pain in the ass too. So you're gonna have to get out one way. So either try to unscrew the sensor from the back, or you can, like I said, pull this tab back, unplug it down there, and then unbolt this little module from down there. Either way, it's gonna be a pain in the ass. And then this one's easy. There's just one more connector right down there that you unplug. That one goes up to here, I believe. So yeah, there's 3 electrical wires we got to unplug, so we can do that now. I was actually able to spin this out of that elbow right after the turbo there, so that's probably the easiest thing to do. If there's 2 8mm bolts, you can pull those off, and this heat shield will come out of the way, and then try to get this thing loose. But yeah, it was a pain in the ass, but it did come. I used a 7/8 wrench on it, so just so you know. Yeah, I got that one unplugged, and then I got the other one unplugged. But yeah, now we can take this intercooler pipe off the turbo there. It's an 11mm socket, or 7/16, just loosen it up, pry it off, and then try to pop this boot back and pop it down underneath the turbo there. And that's what I meant there, just push that boot kind of underneath the turbo here. And yeah. Okay, well, I think all that's left on the top is the 4 bolts that actually hold the turbo to the exhaust manifold. So we're gonna go underneath now and have some fun down there. Okay, so don't mind my squeaky snap-on creeper, sorry. But okay, there's V-band clamp here, goes to the downpipe. So we're gonna loosen that. That's where we're gonna disconnect the turbo from the exhaust. Then if you go up here, all right, so I'll try to show you this. You got this little heat shield here, which I usually just grab a pry bar and bend it out of the way. That gives you more room. But yeah, you got 2 bolts holding this oil drain up, and then you also have the coolant line, which is I think a 22mm socket, kind of back in there. So you're gonna try to fold this bracket away here, fold this heat shield away. Then yeah, you got 2 bolts for your oil drain, and you got 1 big banjo bolt there for your coolant. So we got to get those 2 off, and they can be kind of a pain in the butt, but you should be able to get her. See, once you pry that heat shield away, you can clearly see what I'm talking about. You can see the 2 little bolts and then the 1 big banjo bolt for the coolant. So we're just gonna get those out now, and then we're gonna loosen the V-band clamp. All right, now everything should be disconnected except for the 4 I think they're just all nuts. 4 nuts that go to this manifold flange. These 3 are on the top, and then this one is on the bottom, I believe. But yeah, you're gonna want to take those 4 nuts off, and then we should be able to try to maneuver this turbo out of here. They can be quite tight, but sometimes just holding a little torch like this to the nuts can actually heat it up enough that it'll break loose on you. So just a little tip, heat's always your friend. Obviously don't burn down the truck, but you know, even if you just have a little torch, sometimes that'll help. Just be enough to do the trick to get it loose. All right, I got all the bolts out, or the nuts. They came pretty easy, so the turbo's loose, but it's still hitting on that downpipe. So I think we're gonna try to pull that exhaust back, or we might have to take that downpipe out just so that the turbo can actually drop, because right now it's not able to drop because it's just hitting that exhaust. Even though it's not clamped up, it's still holding it up. So yeah, I'm gonna go figure out what to do with that exhaust, and then hopefully we should be able to pull this thing out. All right, I unbolted this flange here, and sorry, this is hard to show you. And then right there, those 2 bell housing bolts with that bracket there, I unbolted those, and now my downpipe can drop down low enough. So that's what I did. All right, so you're gonna notice that this is very tight in here. It's hard to get out. So what I usually do to get it out is I just grab a little zip disc and I cut these 2 studs right there. Sometimes I even cut the back one. Just confirm that your new turbo comes with new studs. My new turbo comes with the 3 new studs that go on the turbo side, but it doesn't come with the new studs for the exhaust manifold. So I want to make sure that this back one against the engine block there, I want to make sure that that one I don't cut. But yeah, I'm just going to cut these, and then it'll make removing it a lot easier. All right, look at that. She is nice and loose now. So what I'm going to do, I'm probably going to grab a bungee cord and just kind of pull this back out of the way. I'm going to climb right up on the engine, and I'm going to try to pull this turbo out of here. And you're going to have to kind of maneuver it out. Be careful you don't wreck anything. But yeah, you should be able to get it out. I've always been able to, so there's no reason why you can't. All right, the turbo is out. Here it is, right there. All right, so here's the new turbo. It's not a new turbo, it's a remanufactured turbo, but yeah, there it is. So we gotta transfer a couple things over. I think it's just gonna be this oil feed nipple. It's gotta go in here, and then this back elbow right off the turbo, we're gonna have to put that on the new one. There is a dowel pin on this piece, so, and you can actually see the hole right there. So it only goes on one way. That means you can't orientate it the wrong way. So yeah, go ahead and we'll switch those couple of components onto the new turbo. All right, this one is ready to go in. Now this part is not very fun because, you know, seeing how we got it out by cutting it, well, we can't cut these new ones. They seem pretty tight. Sometimes if you get a turbo, they won't have these studs in them. Then what I do is I just put it in place, and I'll just thread these in after, once it's in place, it's easier. But yeah, we're gonna drop this into the truck, and we're gonna try to get this into the exhaust manifold flange. We'll put a new gasket on here first, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. All right, now it was not easy, but I got the new turbo in there. I just got one nut started at the top to hold it up in place. I kind of used a pry bar kind of back in here and like gently did that, like very gently. It's just, I don't know why engineers do it this way, but if it was just like that much more room in there, it would go in like no problem. So I don't know if it's just some sick joke that the engineers want to do on the mechanics, but whatever. If you just work it really slowly, you can get it in there. It's not fun though. It's probably the hardest and most frustrating part of this whole entire job. I'm pissed off right now. Probably took me about 25 minutes there to fight with it and get it in place. So yeah, now it's in. So now I'm gonna go ahead and tighten up these nuts and put all 4 of my nuts on there and start hooking her back up. One other quick thing I'll talk about is the actuator. If you're just changing your actuator on your turbo, you have to calibrate it. But when you buy a new turbo with a new actuator on it, there's no need to calibrate it. So all you gotta do is just throw it in the truck and turn it on, and that's it. There's no programming needed to change one of these turbos, as long as you have the turbo and actuator together. Okay, the turbo's in, I tightened it up. Now I want to go underneath the truck and I want to put on that coolant line and the oil drain line first, because those are going to be, well, the oil drain is going to be the second shittiest part of this job. So we'll go put that on. We can do up that V-band clamp too, get the exhaust back in place. And once that's all done underneath, the stuff up top here is easy. So just go underneath and hammer out the bottom stuff, and then we'll come up to the top, and yeah, it's smooth sailing after that. Okay, everything's done up underneath. Now we're gonna go ahead and put that sensor back in that elbow, get these other 2 connectors, electrical all done up. Once we're done that, we'll put this intercooler boot back on the turbo. That can kind of be a pain in the butt a little bit, so be careful with that. And then yeah, we gotta pre-lube the turbo a bit, so don't go putting the oil and coolant lines on yet, because we're gonna pre-lube this turbo. Okay, everything's hooked up, so we're gonna pre-lube the turbo. So this turbo actually came with this, which is pretty sweet. This will help us a lot. So I just have a little bit of clean engine oil right here. I'm just going to put it right at the oil inlet, and I'm going to just kind of slowly inject it in there. It's also not a bad idea to grab that compressor wheel there and just kind of rotate it. That might help get the oil to suck down a little bit. But yeah, we just want to put some oil through the turbo before we fire it up. So you can kind of grab this and spin it. I don't know if it does anything. I think it does, but and just kind of slowly put some oil into the turbo there. Another thing is you probably want to change your oil before you actually start this truck, just because I know a lot of warranties will be void if you don't change the oil. They want you to have clean, fresh engine oil when you do a job like this. I'll be changing the oil. I'm not going to show it because I'm sure you guys know how to change your own oil. But yeah, just a tip. Probably comes with a card with your turbo anyways. It says warranty void if oil hasn't been changed, something like that. So just change your oil when you do a job like this. But yeah, now you can put your coolant lines back in, back together, this air intake, your exhaust back pressure sensor, if you're putting your EGR back on, or I don't know what you did with yours, but yeah, just get everything back to ready to go. Just a little tip, when you're filling the coolant, just take this out and let all the air bleed out of there until you see coolant come in. Then you can screw that line, put that line back on, but that'll just help bleed your coolant a little bit better. When you change a turbo too, when you first start the truck up, just let the truck idle for a good couple minutes, and that will ensure that the turbo is properly lubricated, and then you don't have to run any risk of you know, hurting a bearing in there or something like that. So just make sure you let the truck idle for a while before you drive it with a new turbo, just to lube it all up nice. But yeah guys, thanks for watching this video. If it helped you out, please like and please subscribe. If you got questions, ask in the comments. I try to reply to all reasonable comments, and shoot me a message on Instagram at Dark Iron Diesel. I try to reply to messages there as well. But yeah, thanks guys for watching. We'll see you on the next video.